I'm joining you from Washington, D.C. in the United States of America at a very busy time politically here. But in this episode, I don't want to talk about the politics of Earth, but rather the adventures in space. Because one thing, in my view, that America is doing right is sending people to the moon. You're watching Lembit Öpik live right here on Unprecedented TV in Washington.
This is all wrong. I shouldn't be up here. I should be back in school on the other side of the ocean. Yet you all come to us young people for hope. How dare you!
Boring. Boring. Boring.
Okay, you gotta do it. Don't tell us what we're gonna feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're gonna feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because you're in no position to dictate that.
Remember what you're doing.
You're in no position to dictate what we're gonna feel.
I call again for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza, the return of the sausages, the hostages.
Welcome on and all to me, Lembit Öpik, on Lembit Öpik Live on Unprecedented TV. And please, before I go any further, do like and subscribe if you like what we're doing. I'm here in the United States of America's capital for various reasons, not least to talk to individuals about what the government of Trump has achieved in space. We'll leave the politics of Earth aside for this particular episode. But if you're watching this live, you'll know that the Artemis 2 project has taken 4 astronauts. First time 4 astronauts have gone to the moon and sped them right round it without landing. And also setting a record for the furthest the human race has ever been from planet Earth. It's an exciting time. I want to find out why America is doing this, what the prospects are for moon landing, and why we do it in the first place. Very pleased to say I'm joined now from Ascardia with Sarah Evie Clark. Welcome to the show. Thanks for letting me come to your capital.
Yes, Washington, D.C. is one of my very favorite places. So you're welcome.
You lived here?
I did. I lived here for more than a decade. It's a glorious place to live. Museums and cherry blossoms are in bloom right now, so it's one of my very favorite times. But there's just so much to see and do here in Washington, D.C. It's a fabulous place to live.
Well, you got a 30-second chance to do a tourist advert. Go ahead.
30-second chance to do a tourist advert. Okay. Please do plan to stop in Washington, D.C. on your trip across our glorious country. Not only can you walk in the footsteps of George Washington and Abraham Lincoln, but you have a chance to see the beauty of our gorgeous capital all for yourself. So visit, I'm joking, it's not, we don't have a website, WashingtonDC.com, but it truly is. It's a lovely place to be.
Well, you should be working for the tourist board, I think, as well. We're right in the center here at the wonderful Washington Plaza Hotel. Maybe 1 mile, 1.5 kilometers from Capitol Hill.
It is. It's just straight up the streets. I love how Lafont play into the city. It's very easy to traverse and drive and walk and. Yeah.
It wasn't my favorite place to come, but it's growing on me now. Perhaps because I'm beginning to know a little bit about it. I was honored to go to the Waldorf Astoria the last time. That was President Donald Trump's campaign headquarters for his first bid, wasn't it, really?
It was. It was a Trump hotel at the time. And I think prior to that, it was the post office.
What? Really?
I think. I could be wrong about that. But it definitely was a Trump hotel. That building has a lot of history.
Well, we're here to talk about the making of history in space at the moment. As I said, NASA has managed to get 4 astronauts to go to the moon, not landing on Artemis 2. And first woman ever to go to the moon.
Yes, indeed.
This is quite an interesting thing. I'm not very keen on positive discrimination, so presumably she's very good at what she does. But I suppose it's the first, and the Russians, the Soviets did very well by getting the first woman into space and so on. And the Guinness Book of Records says a first is always better than a best because you can outdo a best.
You cannot
so
do a
it's
best.
Quite exciting. The history of NASA and the space program, I have to say, is covered in one of my favorite places in Washington, and that's at the Smithsonian Air and Space Museum, where you actually have Neil Armstrong's spacesuit in there and the Apollo 11 command module that came back to the Earth. And yes, we went to the moon. We went to the moon. Okay, I'm not taking any comments on that today. We went to the moon. We did go to the moon, didn't we?
We did go to the moon, and I think that the pictures coming back from Artemis also prove that the Earth is not flat. I know some of you will be very sad about that too, but the Earth is not flat; it is round.
Well, and it's quite noisy as well. Hopefully you can hear us all right. We have to shout a little bit, but there we go. So Artemis 2 is the follow-on from Apollo. You know why it's called Artemis?
No, do tell.
It's the twin of Apollo.
Ah, look at you. Yes.
And it's in mythology. Apollo and Artemis had some quite interesting habits, which we won't go into. But Artemis is the natural follow-on from Apollo. And for the first time in 54 years, human beings have gone to the moon. At time of broadcast, of course, things could be going wrong even while we're talking. It does seem to have been a pretty successful mission.
It's been very, very exciting to watch. I grew up at a time where we did have sadly a space disaster, and so I've always been a little trepidatious seeing launches since then.
The Challenger.
Yes, the Challenger. I am a Gen Xer, so I was in elementary school sitting crisscross applesauce, watching the big television in our gym with every other student in the school. It was an interesting time.
So you watched live at school with other school children.
Yes.
As a school teacher, and the others
Yes.
got killed.
We did. Yes, it was tragic. I don't know. Every time I see a launch now, I'm always just a little bit nervous for them. But this was a beautiful launch. Just the footage and just like understanding like fundamentally what was happening at each stage, and then of course the pictures actually from the Artemis in space. It's been gorgeous.
I should declare an interest. We're both involved in something called Ascardia, the world's first space nation. Do join it. €100. That's what it costs a year, or €100 in your own currency. But you could say that's biased. It's my station. I can do what I want.
This is true.
Ascardia's got the ambitions of, the two ambitions?
Yes, to help facilitate the first child born in space, and to basically move humans from Earth to the stars.
Yeah, so the first permanent human space habitation too. So we got to know each other through space, really.
We did.
To what extent is America interested in this? Are people talking about it, or is it just something incidental?
No, I think there's even now, I think there's a growing interest in space, like not only moving to space, but the opportunities that space provides. And I think people are finally recognizing that, yes, moving to space is not that far off. It's something that, my children could in fact be doing. And actually I'm from Texas, and it's, we liken ourselves as the space capital of the US. There's just so much going on and being done in Texas to take us to space, least of which SpaceX.
My team tells me that one example of space is I'm in the sun and you're in shadow.
Yes.
So apologies. Apologies, the production values aren't brilliant, but this is real. This is authentic. This is not AI. Just joking. So you're interested, I'm interested in it. There's an obvious question. Let's get this one out of the way first. What's the point of sending people to space when humans are starving on the planet?
Actually, that's really the point, isn't it? Because there's going to come a time when Earth can no longer sustain the population, and the only way for humans to successfully ensure our survival is by moving to space. So for me, that it's a question that answers itself.
Okay, that's a short and sharp, almost terse response. How dare you?
No, it's not terse.
How dare you?
No, it's just. It's something that I've considered. Something that I think a lot of people who are really forward thinking. There was a time when you could move across the ocean, and there was like not space, but like opportunity for growth. And now I think that opportunity for us is indeed actually outside of the atmosphere.
That's also the hotel I was telling you about, which you wrongly told me.
I did. I was like, I think this is the hotel where Reagan was shot. That is absolutely false news. That is the Washington Hilton over on Connecticut. But I don't know, the concave shape of the entry threw me.
It looks like Watergate as well. The Watergate Hotel.
Watergate is very unmistakable. It's down on the river in Georgetown, and it's very brown and kind of stucco, and it's a fun trip too. So much to do in DC. You've got to come visit.
So you get a percentage. So we've got Artemis 2, which is achieving its mission objectives. Obviously, if you're seeing this in the archive and something went wrong, that'll be awkward, but I think it's probably going to be all right. The most dangerous...
That'll be awkward.
Well, it will be.
I'm sorry. I agree.
nothing can possibly go wrong, and then something goes wrong. The most dangerous part now will be the re-entry.
Yes.
They had some problems with the heat shield the last time. I won't go into the technical aspects, but that's the most dangerous part. If they come back, though, that's a huge step forward.
If they come back, I think they have plans.
I don't want to tempt fate. Well, they'll definitely land. As long as they land unharmed, that's pretty exciting. So that's Artemis 2. Then there'll be some mucking about in space with Artemis 3. Artemis 4 is scheduled to be the moon landing.
Yes.
What year? Do you know?
I have absolutely no idea. I just heard them say that on the NASA space feed as I was watching the Artemis launch.
I'm told also that the back pressure here is a new Cold War or space race. Maybe not Cold War, space race with China.
Yes, I would say that is definitely a big push.
Yeah, it looks like there's a UFO behind us there as well, going around. It does also give the impression that we're on a summer holiday. We're not on a summer holiday.
No.
We're here to do useful work as well, I think. If Artemis 4 does land, I would like to think that the world will watch that. And bet you there'll have to be a woman on that flight, of course.
Well, of course, we'll successfully get them there and back. Because men are prone to not asking directions, and should they get lost, she will get them home.
That's
joking.
sexist. That's
I'm
sexist. That's
joking.
sexist.
I am joking.
That is sexist.
It's partially true.
Yeah, but women can't park.
This is true. So we will park it on the moon. We'll just make sure that they get there and back. I'm joking. I'm sorry. That was.
No, it's fine. We shouldn't be so scared. I'm not the most woke person you'll ever meet. You already know that.
No, I think there should be a woman. But not just that you could say she's she's the first woman. There's a lot of really, really, really amazing women in the background of NASA that actually, helped get to space and helped, helped a lot of the flights get back safe.
Some very good films on that as well, and it touched on racial segregation in America as well. Don't know how accurate or true that film is, but I want to believe it to be true.
It's Hidden Figures.
Hidden Figures. That's right.
It's an outstanding movie if you haven't watched it already. And no, I believe it's pretty accurate.
The other thing is, on a serious note, the reason why we need to have women in space is you're not going to have many babies if there aren't any.
No.
So we need to know how physiologically that space can interact with the female body.
Yes.
We have a rough idea for men, and I suppose we have some idea from the International Space Station as well. But seeing women, we don't know what we don't know. So seeing women on the surface of the moon for a much longer period of time than occurred with Apollo, that should be pretty enlightening.
And there's a lot that goes into successful procreation, and in order to have a child born in space, there's so many factors. Not only like gravity, right, for circulation. If I'm not mistaken, you can't. Blood does not coagulate properly with in low gravity, which is a problem when you're having a baby.
Yeah, right.
Radiation, just even like vitamin D, diet, nutrients. There's so many factors that go into successful childbirth that the scientists who are undertaking this have a big project on their hands.
Well, I have to say, this is a really exciting time, and I showed my children the launch. It was too late for them to stay up for because they're only young, but I made them watch it the next day, and it was dramatic. It's a huge, big rocket going up. One more thing before we take a really quick break. Assuming that the mission is a success, when can the rest of us go into space? Or is this just going to be a scientific niche?
I don't think so. I think really the push is to move into space, and I've heard some rumblings like, there will be maybe even low orbiting space habitation in sometimes in the late 2030s, early 2040s. I truly don't know. I think it's going to take a lot of innovation, and I think it's going to take a lot of initiative. Hopefully here from the U.S., maybe from China, I don't know, but even Dubai and the Middle East, I think there's a lot of really, really, really smart people who could get this done. As
a special treat for you, we often promote Claire Dyer's show and Tim Scott's show, many other shows, and do like and subscribe. Please do go to the Unprecedented TV site, and it costs you nothing to subscribe. Join the thousands who already have. That would be absolutely fantastic. So that's at Unprecedented TV on YouTube. And you can also follow me on X at Lembit Öpik. But for you, we decided to promote Poor Kids and White Kids. It's a program named after something Joe Biden, your former president, said. Poor kids can do just as well
as white kids.
as bright as white kids. Yeah. So we're just going to promote this. You'll find some of our episodes. We're just about to do a whole new series of Poor Kids and White Kids. Here's what they call the trailer.
Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
Inspired by a US president not far from here. Poor kids are just as bright, do just as well as white kids.
Oh, yes, they do. Oh, I just can't even.
If we called the program that without him having said it, we'd be in trouble.
Oh.
He said it.
Well, even though he said it, you still may.
Well,
still may get a couple.
It's ironic.
It is.
For us, it wasn't ironic for him. Told you all you needed to know about Joe Biden, in my view, but that's another story. Let's get back to the other thing I wanted to talk to you about. Space is expensive. Can it ever be commercially viable for people to live there? Sorry.
I think it can. I think there's going to need to be a shift in the, just in the way people think about the resources that space offer. And not only does it offer, obviously, space. It's in the name, but
it's included in the name.
It's included in the name. But there's a massive amount of resources. I read recently that all of the gold on the planet actually arrived here, via an impact. So if you're looking at, vital minerals, precious minerals, right? I think space is where they're going to come from. So if you could figure out a way to not only mine those, but bring them back to Earth. Plus, like water. It's my understanding that all of the water that's here on Earth arrived here. It was not formed here.
In comets,
Yes.
probably came here on comets.
Yep.
So the Earth probably formed, got smashed around a bit, and then the comets filled up the glass, if you like.
Yep.
Pretty interesting stuff. Maybe life itself came here. There is a theory.
That is a theory.
Well, doesn't explain where some of the politicians came from. From a
not.
galaxy far, far away, of which we know little. I'm not going to get into the politics of it. The substance, which I'm told is actually already commercially viable to be mined and brought back to Earth from the moon, is helium-3. Apparently it's really, really important. Yes, I haven't checked this out, but it does actually feature in some science fiction films as well. But it's $9 million a pound. I think is it kilo or a pound? Really expensive. But at that level, you can actually afford to mine it and bring it back, and that's profitable.
That makes
Interesting.
sense.
Well, yeah, those prices is pretty remarkable.
Well, aren't we running out of helium on the planet anyway?
No, we're not. Well, yes, but that's because of political things. We're not really running out of helium because if you use it and you release it,
It's still there.
if you
It's just,
you fill a billion balloons with helium, and they all pop, it's back in the atmosphere.
It is.
You can find it, but it is quite hard to get. The other thing is, do we have a right to populate the universe, given that we haven't been the most peace-loving species on Earth?
That's a genuinely good question, which I have struggled with off and on. I think there's going to come a time when, hopefully, I don't know when, if ever, but like everybody on Earth really recognize themselves as Earthlings, really, rather than, and I know this is naive, and I know you're going to get comments, I'm sorry, but when are humans going to recognize themselves as, as being from Earth, as opposed to, being British or being American or being Venezuelan or being, Canadian, pick your country. I truly hope it's not, my sources, my kids, they're like, well, look, Independence Day, right? The world came together because, aliens invaded. I'm like, well, I hope it doesn't take aliens invading to really recognize ourselves as humans or as Earthlings. But I think that is going to be the point where we can successfully move into the universe and peacefully do so. I don't know how to do it any other way.
Well, let's hope so. And that's certainly the ambition of Ascardia, of which we know a great deal. All right, looking ahead then. We've got China, which could go to the moon, and quite possibly still get there first. They're very, very good at what they do.
Yeah.
You've got Russia, which really won the low Earth orbit race in the end. They're masters at making space stations, and they've used a lot of their skills in the International Space Station. Is it time for America to work with everyone else? Is it working with everyone else?
No. I would say Americans in the space race do not play in the sandbox well with others. I think we could get a lot further if we did, whether that's even like, Blue Origin or, SpaceX here in the US. I don't know. I think we need to also watch India. I think India is really pushing ahead with their technology too. Sadly, I don't think that Americans will be the first back to the moon.
You don't think so?
I do not.
China?
I do think it will be China.
So they're keeping their cards close to their chest. Do you think they're just going to smash it and do it?
I do.
In a spoiler alert, if you watch For All Mankind, which is a great series, apart from the fact it disappears up its own wokeness. I was going to use a stronger term, but my kids could be watching. It turns out that the North Koreans are the first to Mars. That's what they showed. Yeah,
Really?
It's still worth watching. Really interesting how that comes about. That doesn't actually spoil the series at all. It's a very interesting theory, and it ties in a little bit with what you've said. So you may want to fast forward through some parts of For All Mankind if you don't want to get woke propaganda. But the space part of it seems really interesting to me.
Okay, well, just full disclosure. I hope America's the first one to the moon. I'm just trying to hedge my expectations, and so I won't be super disappointed.
The other question I've got, of two more, are Americans going to get bored again if you make it to the moon, you walk around a bit, you have a few Artemis 4, 5s, and 6s, and then will it wane? Because they did actually cancel Apollo 18 and Apollo 19, I think, which were meant to land on the moon. Is that going to happen again?
So I think there's a danger of that. And I think there's a danger of that not only just because we get used to success, but we are at a time in history where, you get sound bites. And if it's not, if it's more than 3 minutes, nobody's going to watch it, right? So there's only so many 3 minutes, snippets you can watch of the same moon landing or people walking on the moon. And I think we're always looking for, that excitement, that new, that bigger, and that better. And I think there is really danger of just people getting bored with our success on the moon.
Yes, I never tire of watching the Neil Armstrong quote, and I never tire of telling people, I met him. He's not a liar. He is not a liar. Got it? Am I laying that on with a trowel? Yeah, I probably am, but there we go. He's not a liar. Okay, he went to the moon. The honor of meeting him was quite something for me, and also met Buzz Aldrin, and he's still alive. And I wonder if anyone will ever equal the almost canonized status of Aldrin and Neil Armstrong, and poor Michael Collins orbiting on his own, Apollo 11, the guy who doesn't tend to get mentioned. Are the next moon mission people going to get the same status?
Sadly, no. I don't think. No, just no. I think it goes back to your quote at the beginning. If you're the first, if you're one of the first, right? It's always the best. It doesn't matter if they go farther or longer or do bigger or better things. But there's also a very different time, right? Like everybody in the world turned on their televisions to
if they had one.
If they had one, okay, maybe not the world. I'm say everybody in the U.S. turned on their televisions, right? And these, if it was PR and marketing, they did a brilliant job because every single solitary American child knew their names, they knew their faces, they knew what they had accomplished. And I don't know, there's just so much news to digest now. It's not like you turn on your television station and there's only 3 channels, right? And all of them had the moon landing. It's there's just so much. I think no, I don't think any astronauts ever will reach that state.
Neil Armstrong actually made a technical grammatical error. Did you know this?
I did.
He said, that's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. He meant to say, that's one small step for a man, one giant leap for mankind. But it actually sounds better the way he said it. It does sound better. He actually suggested in one of his interviews that the static cut out the That's just not true.
No.
That's not true. But it didn't need to be true because he essentially redefined the language in a sense with that incredible phrase, and became in peace for all mankind. Those are great and noble considerations and terms. I also was lucky enough to meet Gene Cernan, the last man to walk on the moon. He passed away fairly recently, and they all had an absolute expectation we'd go back. And you'd mentioned the crossing of the Atlantic and the explorers on Earth. I think it's human nature to reach out, and we've reached out across the world, though we hardly know the ocean floor, to be honest with you. It's a great unknown, and that's the next place to go.
I mean, I think as long as there's been humans, right, we've always looked up. You know, that's why eclipses were such a big deal, and constellations, the sky, the changes in weather. Everybody has always looked up, and so I think it's just the natural next progression.
There's a film called Don't Look Up, though.
There is. I was going to right. You saw my pause. Yes, Don't Look Up. That is that. Oh my
Well, no,
goodness.
I could see it. I was just hanging there.
It
You're going to
was.
say it.
I was.
Yeah. You were marooned in that comment. If you know your space films, you know what I'm referring to there. So, in terms of the way ahead, you think America's going to still try to go it alone to get back to the moon? They don't want to share the glory, do they? Really?
Probably no. I definitely think they would try to go it alone. We've got a massive amount of just really, really, really smart people here in the U.S. in the space industry. I think if there was a collaboration, we would get there faster. Obviously, I'm not in charge, and I don't know the ins and outs and the nuances, but no, I hope we're first. There you go. Come on, U.S., you can do it. You can do it.
Well, I'm actually quite pleased that they feel this back pressure from China. China doesn't shout all about it. I would be willing to bet much of what you even see in this on the screen now, if you're watching this live, is being run live by Chinese equipment and Chinese stuff. Probably this program is absolutely dependent on Chinese microchips and everything that goes with it. I hope, personally speaking, that we let America have its glory, maybe China, but after that, maybe we can get a permanent human space station, something on the moon that isn't just a place you visit, it's a place you live. That's actually what the Scotty is all about. And if you got the chance, but you could only do it on a one-way basis, if you got the chance to live out the rest of your life, let's say from 5 years' time, on the moon with your family, would you take it?
No.
Why not?
I don't know. I love the feeling of the sun on my face. I love to walk in the grass without shoes.
You'd have the sun in your face.
Oh yes, but behind a radiation shield, like there would be so many things just between me and nature. And I mean, as in my other life, right? I'm a doctor of natural medicine. Like I depend on nature for I don't know, everything that I do. So I don't think I would.
The parties, I wouldn't go for one reason. If my children said no. But if my kids said, yeah, let's go, I would. If they both voted to spend for them, say, 20 years in space, but I had to spend the rest of my life there, I'd say, yeah, I would.
Well, then there's no chance. I have 5 children, and they do not agree on anything. So that was a definite no for me.
The parties are bad as well there, because it's just got no atmosphere.
Oh, wow.
Taxi!
Oh, wow.
I haven't even got to the Mr. Gorski joke. Do you know the Mr. Gorski joke?
I do not. And
I'll tell you off air. I
I
can't tell you. It's about the first ones that Neil Armstrong really said on the moon, but I'll share that for later.
Okay.
Big thank you to Sarah. We might get you back towards the end of the week to talk about politics in America. Fascinating always to talk to Sarah, who I do know very well, about the question of space. I'll finish on this. At time of broadcast, things are going well in space for the 4 pioneers who've gone further than any humans ever gone before from planet Earth. Let's hope they get back safely. But more than anything, what I really hope is that we do go in peace for all humankind once again to space. And if you're watching this and you're not 61 like me, you could be one of those people. Please do like and subscribe. Join Asgardia if you want to. That's fantastic. Sarah's told you about that. That's Asgardia, the Space Nation. And please join at Unprecedented TV as well. At Unprecedented TV on YouTube. It takes 30 seconds to sign up, and you can see the archive full of hundreds and hundreds, almost 1,000 shows there as well. In the meantime, thanks for watching. I'm Lembit Öpik. That was Lembit Öpik Live from Washington, D.C. in the United States of America, all for your benefit. Have a good day.
Immediate ceasefire in Gaza. The return of the sausages.